Okay. Yes. Is that working? Gotta check my phone. Hello, everybody. Tom Caltabiano here. Everybody loves Raymond 360 Live. Let's put this microphone there and that microphone there. And yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, let's go live here. Go back there, do this here, and go live there. Okay. All right, Tom Caltabiano. Everybody loves Raymond 360 Live. I wanted to say hello. We are always happy to meet up with all of our friends, talking about our favorite show, which is one of our favorite shows. I don't want to be presumptuous. Everybody loves Raymond is hopefully that. I don't know if you guys, how am I sounding? Hello, Paula. Kevin James' birthday. I'm going to talk a little bit about Kevin James' birthday. Let me check my volume. Everything good? Okay. Yes. What is going on? So much is going on. Too much to report. There is it looks like there is going to be an exhibit in New York City for Everybody Loves Raymond at the Paley Center, formerly known as the Museum of Television and Radio. I believe it will be in June sometime, mid-June perhaps. I think there will be a ticketed event. It'll be hopefully an exhibit that goes for 2 months, maybe 3 months. So all of the summer, if any of you are in New York City, there will be an Everybody Loves Raymond exhibit, which will include behind the scenes photos and videos and much, much more, and props and wardrobe. Let me think what else. And hopefully you can take a picture in front of Frank and Marie's table, or at Frank and Marie's table, or Ray and Deborah's couch. All of these things are to be determined. I'm just curious if anybody has been to the Museum of Radio Television, otherwise known as the Paley Center for Media, I want to say. I should personally know. Okay, let's go check on a couple of comments here. Yes. Hello, Mona. Hello. There we go. Hi, everybody. Hello, Paula. Hi, everybody. Hello, Karen Jack in maybe in Texas now. I think you travel. Do you travel a lot? Am I being presumptuous? Is the board locker moving up? Is the board locker? Oh, board liquor. Liquor. Yes, it's funny how one letter makes a big difference. Hello from Great Falls. How are you? Yes, everything sounding good. Awesome. So I was going to mention, let's see, the Paley Center, the Paley Museum, June, July, August, hopefully. Nothing is written in stone. And that brings us to the TV special, which is still potentially in the works. I will let you know if it is 100%. As I've said before, it's television, and with television and or movies, stuff comes and goes very quickly. If the president of a network says we don't like that show, then that show goes away. But so far, so good. Knock on wood, etc. Okay, let me go back to Instagram and see. Yes, okay. Catching up on Instagram. Very good. So, one of the things I also want to say is we have about 7,000 new followers in the last week, which is phenomenal. And so when I repost, or my people repost stuff, and I know you guys who have been here since the beginning, which is when COVID started-ish, right? Ish. That you have seen it. but a lot of people have not seen it. So there's a lot of questions that I get that my original people who are following are like, Tom, we know the answer of how the show is made. Tom, we remember when Patty was there. Tom, we know all of this. We know everything. And I know you guys are patient, but that's why you're going to start seeing a lot more of reposting of stuff that is new to the new people. Okay. I perhaps stating the obvious, but it's not us trying to trick you into thinking that is a new thing. Okay. I'm going to take a sip from the quotes mug, from the fan quotes mug. Here we go. Let's look at some more comments. And also, are you guys enjoying all of the videos that I'm sharing? Those videos are phenomenal for me to watch because I don't remember, even though I shot them, even though I filmed most of them up into a point, and then my trusty sidekick editor / independent person who doesn't have to be tied to me, Cheyenne, would film it, and that was a huge bump up because he had what's then, for camera geeks, he had a Canon XL1S, which is a mini DV, which means it's digital, which has a higher resolution than the original ones I'm shooting on. The original things that I'm shooting are 8mm video. Okay, so the resolution is not nearly as good as later. So when I post a clip of the young girl, that's season 5, right? I know I wrote the young girl episode with Aaron Shore, season 5, and then later season 7, 8, 9 is all mini DV. Is this boring technical stuff? Not really. Especially when you watch it, you'll be like, oh, okay. And then I see the difference, Tom. But you also have to know that a lot of times, and I want to post this for you guys. First of all, I did find the me touring the stage. And it's after everybody has left and I'm walking around the stage, giving you a complete tour of every nook and cranny of the Everest Raymond stage. All of these moments, which I have a lot of, my tendency was to keep the camera rolling to get it a more, is it cinema verte? I don't want to get fancy schmancy, but you get a feeling of being there, which I think a lot of you guys who weren't able to go to a live filming, which there were only 200 people in the audience, so it wasn't like a lot of people saw a live filming of Everest Raymond. For those of you, though, where I walk, I have the camera on, and I'm up on the top of the bleachers, and I'm looking down at the audience, over the audience's head, and then you see the stage. And then most people would go, cut, okay, let me cut. I keep the camera rolling and I run down the stairs all the way onto the floor. So now you see what it's like to be in the audience and then run down and come onto the floor. The floor is where they shoot the show. The floor just means the stage floor, but it's slang for those of you on the who are interested. When you go to a recording, a filming, sorry, people get very uptight. We filmed our show, so it was on film. But they go to a taping now, or now, I don't even know what you would call it because it's digital. It's all digital. If you say, can I go on the floor? You sound crazy if you're not in the business because you're like, are you going to lay on the floor? What do you want to do on the floor? But if you're in the business and you're like, hey, this is Tom and I'm a fancy schmancy know-it-all and I'm sitting in the audience. Do you mind if I go on the floor? They'll be like, sure, Tom, go ahead. Or the thought that we would want you on the floor is very off-putting. Okay, let me get to some questions, but sorry, a lot of the footage, the reason I bring that up is a lot of my footage is shaky because it's in between shots and I didn't have a steady cam and there was no in-camera image stabilization at that point. We're lucky to have a camera. So it's a lot of so sometimes if you see it, and I haven't posted anything yet, but I will. And people are going to say, hey, let me see. I get yelled at a lot by people. I know you guys really enjoy this, but the amount of times I'm called a moron or an idiot and stuff like that, I'm really like, who are these people? So when I post that, now I've shared it with you and you see some shaky footage, you're like, why is you won't say that, but the outsider will go, why doesn't he cut and give us a beautiful establishing shot? Because I wanted you to know what it's like to actually have the camera in your hand and being on stage. Okay. Hi, Gil. Enjoying the videos, Tom. Thanks for posting them. My quotes mug fell off the shelf and I'll have to order another one. Gil, when did that happen? Right before we went live, I knocked a lens off a shelf, my long 300 millimeter lens, and it broke the front glass, which only costs, because it's a protector. So it only costs like $30, even though it might be a $1,500 lens. So I know that accidents happen, Gil. Was it an angry Frasier fan who found your mug and decided that Frasier is a much better show than Everest Raymond, and I will not allow this to be in the house? Or was it a normal type of accident? Okay, we'll look. We'll check in the police report. Hello, Trish. Now, Trish, you're in Toledo, Ohio. Are you go? Is there a Jeep museum there? Because that's where it's pronounced Willis. It's spelled Willys. The original, although we can really get deep in the weeds on Jeeps. But there was a big production facility for Jeeps in World War II in Toledo. You'll let me know. Okay, here we go. Watching the episode now, A Date for Peter. Yes, a very, very good episode. Do you know if any of the cast took anything from the set for a keepsake at the end of the series? Yes. Hi, Deb. That's a question. And again, I've said this many times. If you ask a question and I miss it, please feel free to answer it, to ask it again. I don't get annoyed by someone asking a question multiple times because usually I don't see it. And for those of you like, I sent Tom a message. I get messages on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, direct messages. I have a bunch of messages that come in. And so if I miss it or if I don't see it, and a lot of times this happens with my friends, where I'll see on Instagram, Mr. Joe Blow, your close friend, put you in a story. And I see it 7 days later and it says story not available. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. So I think that's a good question for the individual cast members. Raymond has Deborah's couch. Phil Rosenthal has Frank and Marie's kitchen table and I think their couch, Frank and Marie's couch as well, the plastic covered couch. Patty, I think I asked her when she was here. I don't remember. Brad is a good question. Never asked Brad that. All these are good for the individual. Doris took the big sculpture, Marie's sculpture, and a few other things. But, from the outside, if you're a big fan of I Love Lucy and you're like, wow, I wish I had XYZ fill in the thing. It's such nostalgia. It's such a important part of history looking at it now. When the show ends, and the cast goes, Patty Heaton doesn't know it at the time, but she's like, I'm going to do 7 or 9 years, whatever, on the middle. And then Ray goes, I'm going to do this. There's a certain, here, I'll go back even bigger picture. Some people like to collect stuff and some people are minimalist. And then you have everybody in between. So I know that when we talked to Mary Ellen Boucher, she said that Doris Roberts took a lot of her wardrobe from the show and Patricia Heaton took almost nothing, if not nothing. So there you go. There's two ends of the bell curve, as we say in some language. Howdy, Tom and ELR fans. Hi, Henry. Robert's Crazy Chin had a great explanation. Were there any other ideas floating around, or was that it from the beginning? Yeah, I think that was kind of where we knew it had to go. It made sense. It certainly corroborated with what we had established on the show. Excellent question, Henry. Always wondered how they filmed the bull chasing after Robert. Hi, Kathy. Did I say your name right? Is it Kathy or Kathleen? Caitlin. Wow. I had everything wrong but the letter K. The bull episode, that was filmed on the outside lot at Warner Brothers. There's a New York City street called Hennessy Street. And there was a real bull and there was a real actor named Brad Garrett who had to run away from the bull. So that's how they filmed it. I unfortunately was not there. I was in the writer's room. And there were a few times, very seldom did we film stuff that we couldn't see because it was almost 99% was in front of the live audience. But that was one of the times that I did not see the filming. But I know from Phil and the line producer, Lisa Helfrich, that it was filmed there. And it is unfortunate since I am a photographer and not the official photographer, but the unofficial photographer. Anything that I wasn't there for, there probably isn't a photo of. because this is the show ended in 2005. The iPhone came out in 2007. So unlike today, where there's 73 different angles of every event in everyone's life, that didn't happen back then, unless Wardrobe decided to take something with a Polaroid camera, which Wardrobe generally did not. Wardrobe department tried to stay innocuous, and for them to go, that's my impression of a Polaroid camera. They just wouldn't do it because they did not want to get in trouble. Okay, going down to these questions, everybody. Did anyone take the big fork and spoon? Hi, Tammy. The writer of the episode, Tucker Cawley, it happened to him in real life. He and his wife went on a one-day trip and brought a suitcase. And Phil said, "Is anybody having a fight with their wife?" And about a week after that trip, Tucker said, "I think I am." And that turned into the baggage episode, which Tucker won an Emmy for writing. He has the big fork and spoon, and he has the wallpaper that was behind it, and that's what we use to make our magnet. Okay, hold on. Let me look. Sorry, I gotta. Hi, everybody. Here, let me just reach here. That's my hand. Okay, so here. Okay, let me go back to my screen. Okay, there I am. So this is the magnet. The fork is right over there, but I'm deliberately leaving it off with the grease stains. Tucker took a really good close-up photo of that. So this is the 100% accurate, the wallpaper from Frank and Marie's house with the wooden fork and spoon on our magnet. And so there you go. And thank you, everybody, we just sent out a big order. So if you didn't get it, you will be getting it soon. But there we go. That has been on my refrigerator since the first prototype 4 years ago. 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And despite all of my incessant snacking, it has not failed. Okay, let's go back to these questions. Hi, Tammy. Thank you for replying to my question. Yes, you are welcome. Sorry, I'm just, hi, Mona. Tell people that are, here, I have to do this, folks, because I'm looking at 6 different screens. And so let me look up this. Is this going to be disconcerting for me? Tell people that are new that you have your Emmy at that bakery. Okay. Yes. That's so I have 2 Emmys, everybody, for the show, and one of them is at a bakery, at my friend's bakery in upstate New York, Villa Italia, a phenomenal Italian bakery with about 50 employees, and that is where one of mine Emmys is, in a display case in Schenectady, New York. Yes, hopefully Patricia comes back on. That would be awesome. Okay, let me see this. Hi, Deb. Thanks, Tom, for answering my question. Do I think Ray or Patty would do Broadway? I just watched David Hyde Pierce being interviewed on April 20th, CBS, on his return to Broadway, running now till July. Pirates of Penzance. Would Ray... I can't answer for anybody, but knowing them, I think Patty would be more likely to do Broadway than Raymond for quite a few reasons. I mean, but that's a great question. Next time Patty is here, we will ask her. And for those here, I'm going to straighten my camera a little bit. Let me just do this. It feels slightly crooked. There we go. Now I feel very level-headed. Yes. So I think Raymond, I don't think they would be against it. Raymond would maybe do a week or something engagement. He would be more likely to something. Yes, Trish, your spoon and magnet are still hanging on the RV refrigerator, over 50,000 miles. Yeah, that's testimonial. If your refrigerator door gets more use than an RV that has traveled 50,000 miles, then you might have a snacking problem. Yes, one of the funniest scripts ever. Let me see. Okay, we need to have another. Hi, Mona. We need to have another live like we had last year. By the way, isn't it annoying when you misspell something? and you think you spell it correctly, because that happens to me all the time. And I look back on a text and I go, that changes the whole meaning of my sentence. And also, comedy especially is very precise. So when I write to the Raymond writers a joke and I read it and the joke is flubbed because I had a word autocorrect, that's always annoying. We need to have another live like last week. I think it was, that one where we, to pay, I think, for a chair for my, nonprofit to help kids. That's true. I think it was, I'm not sure. Yes. So you would like to do another live, Mona. Sorry, I'm cutting to the chase. I'm not being rude. Yes, we will do that. Madeline Sweeten just had a kid a few weeks ago. Her whereabouts, interesting, is, I got to find out where Maddie is. How we refer to her as, to which we, I don't know, there's some English in there. And by the way, for those of you just joining, Tom Cultivating here, writer on Everest Raymond. When you know that everybody so well, and that sounds like bragging, I guess, but when people are like, why do you call her Patty? Because that's what Patty wants to be called. And I know from the outside, it's just weird, I guess, to hear Deborah and then somebody calling her Patty. Marie giving the canister to Deborah because it would remind her of Frank hiding it. I wondered if maybe Marie figured out or found out that Frank covered it, and it was, interesting. Marie's way of reminding Deborah what she did. Linda, that's a very, very good point. So what she's saying, what Linda's saying, let me speak to you directly here, people. What if that's really deep psychological warfare? If Marie in real life is like, oh, I know what you did. I know that Frank covered for you. And now I'm going to give this back to you and float that out there and keep a question in your mind whether I really knew, whether Marie really knew. I don't think that is, I think it was on the face. Is that prima facie? Is that how you say it? On the surface, that Marie did want to give her the canister back. And for those of you, since you bring that up, Linda, the tag, so a lot of tags. So let's go over script-wise. Do I have a script here? Let's see. I can't believe, here's a script. It doesn't want to let go. Okay, here is a script, everybody. This is a wardrobe script. But I'm bringing it up not to talk about wardrobe, but in a script, which is approximately 40 pages, okay? And a sitcom, here you go. Let's get really deep. A sitcom is spaced like this. And a movie is spaced differently. So a movie is like 120 pages. And a single camera TV show, this is a multi-camera sitcom. And so it has a different spacing. My Brad fell off, not Brad Garrett. The little brass thing that holds a script together is called a Brad. There you go. Boy, I wish we had a trivia game. We will someday. Anyway, the beginning of a script is called a teaser, at least in our land of sitcoms. And the tag is the very end. When the tag is standalone and it's just pure funny and gets cut, nobody misses a thing. So with the canister specifically, let's call it this. With the canister specifically, the canister episode, Marie comes over. For those of you that didn't see it, Marie comes over and says, Deborah, I want you to have this. Now, a lot of people have written to me and said, hey, Tom, if you could retroactively fire the incompetent people on your show who accidentally left the canister in Deborah's kitchen, you should do it immediately. And then I have to say, did you see the tag? What are you talking about? The tag is the end where Marie gives the canister. I did not see that. And then they either apologize or they say, you should fire them anyway because they are making me look bad. So some shows, the teaser and tag are standalone, can be gotten rid of. That's what happened in season 1 when we had a lot of sports stars. Phil Rosenthal said, hey, you know what? I think these are probably going to go in syndication, so let's make it not important to the story. So everything, unless it's the funniest laugh you've ever heard, should service the story in some way. You only have 22 minutes to tell the story. And so very seldom is the tag. Well, here, I'll go back. You'll work on a script for a very long time. You'll come in and then you'll shoot it, the show, and then Phil will come back from editing and go, I cut the teaser. We start here. And you'll say, but Phil, as a genius writer, this show cannot live without the teaser. And he'll say, oh, that's great. So anyway, I cut the teaser and the show moves much faster and nobody will miss it. So that is the case for some and not the case for others. Okay, there you go, Linda. A lot of time. Um, yes, we all come from frogs. Yes. Mazel tov to, yes, Madeline. I would love to know how the in-laws were cast, since Deborah knew Catherine Hellman from Soap, Doris, sorry, and Amy's parents. Wonderful choices. Yeah. So, Janet, I would say that I'm pretty sure that's all Phil Rosenthal. I think Phil loved Georgia Engel. He loved Catherine Hellman. He loved Robert Culp, and Fred Willard. So I'm 99% sure, but when Phil is on here again, I will ask him. 99% sure that that was all Phil. I know that Ray would be consulted on it, but Ray, Phil was such a sitcom fan that I do think his just awareness, not that Ray wouldn't be aware, but he's not the student of sitcoms that Phil was. So there you go. That's how, yes. And might Doris have actors recommended? Yes. So they can recommend. So the way it would work often is we'd be in the writer's room and Lisa Miller Katz would come in. She was the casting director. And she would say, for example, Deborah's sick. Hey, Phil, what are you looking for? I need a football player. I need a sports star, somebody. Okay, we'll go out to X, Y, and Z. And Phil, who does not follow sports at all, one iota, he'll go, I don't know who that is. And then maybe I know who that is. So the other, like Steve Scrovan, who played football for Yale, or any other of the writers would, for the most part, would be like, Phil, here's who those sports stars are. Okay, get whoever is good. That would happen that way. The bigger discussion of who's going to be X, Y, and Z, who's going to be the in-laws. Could Doris Roberts recommend? 100%. She could recommend, especially when you're at the caliber of Catherine Hellman. So it's not like, hey, how would you say this? My aunt's second removed, or is that a cousin only? Let's go. My high school friend would like to dabble in acting. Phil, would you mind looking at her for the part of Deborah's mother? Then Phil might go, you know what, Doris, I'll look at a tape, or the casting director will look at a tape. Then that would happen occasionally, but Phil, or ever, you just want the show to be good. So if somebody's like, Fred Willard would play this part perfectly. Oh, great. Can we see if he's available? Great. We'll make an offer to him or whatever. That's the way that it would work. Okay. Phil told me that Georgia Engel reminded him of Monica's mom. Yes. So Karen Jack, Phil Rosenthal's mother-in-law sounded. So I know that a lot of people, some people did not like the sound of Georgia Engel's voice, where she talks so light like this. That's how she talked in real life. And that's how Monica's mother talked also in real life. So just like when people are like, why does Ray have that fake, or whatever, that's Ray on camera, off camera, pretty much exactly the same. So yes, Georgia Engel definitely 100% reminds us of Phil, of Monica's mother. Let me see. Let me see. Do they get other sitcom to pick them up? Okay. Sorry. I try and Tom, what happened to the other guy that Ray worked with as a sports writer on the show? And the other guy Johnny, did they get other sitcoms to pick them up? I'm not sure what you're asking. The other guy, I don't know who you're talking about specifically. Johnny, it came out spelled like Papua New Guinea. Are you asking, did John work on different sitcoms, or what happened with him, etc.? That's, interesting. So I don't know how to answer that. Yes, I see the misspelling, no problem whatsoever. Yes, sorry. When you see me not saying anything, I'm reading through other comments really quickly. All right, let's go over to Instagram, shall we? Do you guys enjoy the short clips that I'm posting? They're only 18 to 20 seconds. Yes, Doris took the sculpture. Yes, that is correct. And I think there's two or three. Um, um, I think there were two sculptures at least, because all of a sudden one appeared on stage when the finale happened. So I don't know. I know one of them was auctioned off, and one of them was at Doris's house and then got auctioned off. All right, let's talk a little bit, shall we, about Kevin James, real briefly, because I see a lot of comments. It was his birthday, and I think this is a great feature. If I was doing it in advance. Let me see. I can post them, but this is more like you're sitting with me having lunch and I'm showing you some photos. So Kevin James started out doing stand-up comedy in New York City, in the New York area. Kevin is from, let's just say effectively, because when people are like, where are you from? And you're like, and when people say, well, I was born in Sheboygan, but I moved to New York when I was 2 months old. And so you're like, I think you're from New York, but point made. So Kevin was Long Island based, let's just say that. And Ray was Queens based stand up. And Raymond started before Kevin, and they would see each other in the comedy clubs, although Kevin was much more Long Island. And for those of you that don't know the geography, if New York is here, Long Island goes out like this, but psychologically, it's a huge difference between Long Island and Manhattan. Comedy clubs, etc. So there were comedy clubs there called Governors, and oh wow, Bayside. I want to think. What was the other? The Brokerage. Okay, I'm naming clubs, and if you're a comedian, you're like, oh, the Brokerage. That was a decent gig. Governors. That could be tough, but it was good. As a matter of fact, there's a documentary with Seinfeld, and he's getting heckled at Governors. And they're noisy and they're yelling at him and stuff. And he's like, how big do you have to get not to be heckled? So Ray and Kevin crossed paths, but not that much. But then they were out here for a pilot season, out here being Los Angeles. And I think more specifically, maybe a Holiday Inn in Burbank. And I don't believe either of them got a show in that go around. Although, for those of you that are new, Raymond was cast on news radio and he lasted one day and got fired and replaced by Joe Rogan as the electrician, I think janitor part or something like that. Let me take, I wish, that's why I like it when I have guests. I don't have to talk the whole time. There we go. Who's the nutcase now? There, it finally kicked in. All right, hold on. Some delightful afternoon tea. And for those of you new joining, I also do taste a cookie, which is something in here. Oh, wow. That was very aggressive. Okay. So Kevin James, they bonded during pilot season. And then Raymond got Raymond. And he wanted to get Kevin James into the show if possible. So he's in it early on doing an impression of Raymond. Phil thought Kevin was very funny, which he was and is. Ray and I did stand up. I don't know if Ray did do stand up with him much. But before the beginning of Eras Raymond, I did a show in New Jersey at a place called Rascals West Orange. It was me, Kevin James, and I can't remember who else was on the show. And it might have been a month or two before Every Rose Raymond. And Kevin destroyed. Kevin got a standing ovation. He was unbelievably funny, just hysterical. And so somewhere, I couldn't look for it. Somewhere I have a picture of us that weekend before moving out to California. So the beginning of Ever's Raymond happens. Kevin, I believe, has what's known as a development deal with a British comedian, or he's supposed to do something with, I want to say, there's two Lees. There's Lee Evans and Lee Mack. So one of them, Kevin was supposed to develop a sitcom with. It didn't happen. So now we're at the beginning of Ever's Raymond, and we're there for the first season. And the script, Ray and I are writing the last script of the first season called Why Are We Here, where we find out that they live across the street. And Kevin would come to the office. I remember when we were writing that, and I remember there's a line where Frank goes, he comes down for the bathroom and goes, say what you will, that plumbing can take a punch. And I remember Ray being just excited about that line, and Kevin being in the room when we were writing it. So there was Kevin was in the mix, and there's the last shoot of the first season I videotaped, and there's Kevin and his brother Gary Valentine are on stage. So a lot of people have written Kevin James was a writer on the show. Kevin James was not a writer on the show, but he wrote one script with me and Ray as an outside writer. And Phil tried to put Kevin in the show as much as possible, but we didn't have a lot of outside casts. So here's the thing that comes up, and so I'll explain it to, for those of you, we'll get the little sound bite. A lot of people write, hey, I noticed a blooper. Ray, you would call Kevin, but then he called him Doug. So why did they screw up so badly? Why do you think these people are incompetent? And then I would say, Kevin James was Kevin James way before King of Queens. King of Queens happened about 4 years into Ever's Raymond, and all of a sudden Kevin James became Doug. So in the crossovers, we had to call him Doug. Otherwise, it would be weird to call him Kevin. But when you watch in syndication, you're like, sometimes he's Kevin, sometimes he's Doug. He's Kevin before the creation of the character Doug. So as I have said, the only way we could call him Doug in the first seasons, if somebody had a crystal ball and said, hey guys, I know the show King of Queens hasn't been invented yet, but Kevin in 4 years is going to be called Doug. So let's call him Doug now. And of course, if that were the case, we would all have bought Apple stock and be rich and be out eating together. Okay, so Kevin, we write golf. I also wrote golf for it. So golf with the Dr. Sundram. Dr. Sundram is based on my real life doctor, Dr. Subaram Sundram in New Jersey. I don't know that he's practicing anymore, but he was... he spoke like that and he looked like that a little bit, and he was great. And so Kevin, Ray, and I sat down and we wrote that golf episode, which was really fun to write and also close to home for Raymond, who was prone to playing a lot of golf. His wife didn't like him to play golf in real life too much because you don't spend time with the family, and it seems almost cliche, but that was going on. And also a proclivity for certain anxiety attacks. Okay. For anxiety. Let's put it that way. Yes. So just everybody, here's the thing that I do see. Hello, Leo in St. Martin now. Leo, did you bring your snowshoes to St. Martin, or is it not snowy there like Toronto usually is? Okay, I had a point, but Leo, you knocked it out of my head. What was I? People are gonna have to remind me of what the point I wanted to say. Yes, with Madeline Sweeten having a kid, a lot of people have written about having. Let me see. What is this? Oh, that's so interesting. I'm actually on a Zoom also. That's interesting. What happens if I close the Zoom? Let me go to StreamYard. Okay, that's why. No wonder I'm watching a whole different show, a much better show of me on a Zoom. The thought of a spinoff where Madeline has kids, now that has come to the forefront because people are like, it could be a spinoff, because a lot of people get very angry and say, there can't be a show because Frank and Marie are no longer with us. True. Can't be the same show. Okay, so let me do this. Let me scroll. So, that's what I was going to say. And let me see. Da-da-da, bada bing, bada boom. So this is a very interesting question I've never seen before. Why Marie never made pizza, almost never ate it, and looked down on pizza. Wow. That's a really interesting... Okay, hold on. Never thought that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's definitely a fact that I don't remember her eating pizza or talking about pizza. What did she talk negatively about pizza? Did we ever have that? A real swing at pizza? Because that's a battle you will lose. Let's see. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bada. Yes, he might have. Didn't the doctor on Raymond play a doctor on Friends? Yes, he might have. All right. I'm going to finish. What was I talking about? Oh, a lot of times people write this and they say this to me about Raymond. Has he ever done anything since Ever Was Raymond? Now, Raymond has done so much stuff since Ever Was Raymond, but unlike a hit sitcom where you watch it over and over and it's in your living room every night and there's no other form of entertainment that I know of that you watch all the time, TV, you might have a favorite movie. You would never play your favorite movie every single night. It just, maybe you would, but it would seem like someone would say, why don't you watch another movie? So with the sitcom, though, people get comfort from watching the same thing over and over again and not going, I already saw this. You're like, I already saw this and I love it. So Raymond, for example, has done too many things to list right now. So for Andy or Johnny, there's a lot of stuff that you probably miss. So when I say Ray did a Scorsese movie, a Scorsese series, Parenthood, Men of a Certain Age, the movie Come Fly With Me with Scarlett Johansson, his own movie Somewhere in Queens, a movie called Paddle. Like, I can just keep listing them and people will still be like, did Ray ever do anything after Raymond? Because I did not see him in anything. So I'm just saying for Andy, for Johnny, those guys, yeah, unless you're on another hit sitcom, like Chris Elliott was on Schitt's Creek, but that which is good as was isn't that many episodes, so it doesn't run as many as they are. Maureen Schmidt, here we go. Maureen, in the Italy episode, Ray has pizza and even offers some to Marie, but she declines. Yes, I wonder, it could have been something to do with makeup. Hello, Francis. My Italian grandmother never made or ate pizza either. Okay, so it's not necessarily an anomaly at all. Summer in Queens, Ray's movie. Yes, Summer in Queens, a great movie, by the way. Really, really heartfelt. There's, what am I trying to say? Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's 93%. So Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate of all the people that criticize movies. And criticism is there in the name of a critic, unfortunately. But Ray, I think it's 93 or something. To get a high rating on Rotten Tomatoes is really, really hard and special. Okay, I'm going to end this Zoom. Let's see what happens. I don't think I'll go away, folks. Don't worry. Let me see this. I go this. I do this. Yes. End meeting for all. Yes. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So the reason that was distracting, folks, is I was seeing me on another screen really jittery. And so you guys are not looking jittery. Okay. Oh, this is much better. Yes. Let's see. Hi, Brucey. Was there anyone that really had a fear of busboys like Robert in the first season? I always felt intimidated by hairdressers because their hair and makeup look great, but not busboys. Okay, so Brucey Jones. That's a great question, a new question. We've never had that question before. So I would say that was a scene that Ray and I helped finesse a little bit. It was just trying to show the discomfort. And I know that any of you that have gone to a fancy restaurant and you're not really, you didn't grow up. I did not grow up going to a fancy restaurant. I think the first time I went to a fancy restaurant, really fancy, was like Windows on the World. Not Windows on the World. Yes, Windows on the World. What am I saying? Because there was also something called the Rainbow Room in Rockefeller Center. But Windows on the World had something called Cellar in the Sky. And my friend worked at the World Trade Center. He worked there until 1993 when he moved to California. But I used to go to, and my first paying gig as a comedian was to do the launch of a show at Windows on the World. In between, there was something called the Backyard. This is really trivia. In the summertime, between the Twin Towers, they had a lunch place called the Backyard. Is that what it was called? Yes. And they had to introduce bicycle games. The card thing had to introduce a new card, and they need a stand-up comedian to just do the play. do the play the game with people. And as payment, I got to go to Cellar in the Sky, and it was so intimidating because I didn't even have pants that I could wear, and I had to buy pants, folks, to do it. So the busboy thing just seemed like a natural extension of Robert just feeling uncomfortable, especially with Deborah's hoity-toity in-laws. Okay. So there you go. So I don't that unlike Robert's real life or Ray's brother, who the Robert character is based on, touches food to his chin. So okay, let me catch up. So yeah, sorry, my ums are just me pre-reading to make sure there's nothing untoward. Hi, Camille, a name I don't recognize. So forgive me if you've been on a ton of times. Not sure if this was discussed before. Interesting abbreviation. Who had the idea that Robert's news was always be interrupted? Is he going to announce engagement to water breaks? LOL. Yeah, that was just a running thing. I don't know if Phil did it originally. I know that Ray and I wrote the season 1 finale. Why Are We Here? I'm trying to remember if it did. It's definitely a device for anybody who's a sibling who's not as important as their other sibling in the eyes of their parents or anybody else involved in their life. It's a very good thing when you're like, hey, people, I'm sharing good news. And people are like, your sister was able to eat soup today because she doesn't usually eat soup. Oh, I'll put my award over here and let's talk about how my sister ate soup. So that is a way of communicating that in a funny way. Let me see. Yes. Hi, Maureen. Again, I once worked in Jersey City and would once a month go to the Windows on the World for lunch. We could only afford to go one time a month. Okay, a lot of abbreviations. You guys can write it out. I have to translate an abbreviation to save time. Tom, did you ever direct an episode? No, I did not. Nor did Phil Rosenthal. But Phil Rosenthal effectively directed every episode. So that is a good question. But to be honest, Phil never officially directed. Ray never officially directed. If you're going to direct an episode, which can be done, you're really got to want to direct an episode, asked to direct an episode, and not be writing for that week that you're directing an episode. So it's not, and sorry, let me go back even more. Since the advent of The Office, the TV show The Office, you have a lot of people that are writers who are on camera. That was you just didn't do it on sitcoms back then for Ever's Raymond. It was very rare, very rare. It was done, like Carl Reiner did, I think, appear on camera, but he was also a huge performer before he developed the Dick Van Dyke Show. But for the most part, it's like you're writing. So if you're going to be on camera, I have 2 lines. I think I'm on camera like 3 shows. If you're on camera, though, that means you're not doing your job. So it sounds dramatic, but hey, you're not doing your job. But, it's generally, I would say, until The Office, where I was like, wow, they're using the writers on camera a lot. It's just not usually done. Okay, let me scroll. Look at the time. Let's see. Yes. By the way, all the cast members, I love having Ray on, Patty on, Brad on, but they are very busy people. And I do this on a Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. And it's so tough for people. Hey, would you mind giving up your Sunday afternoon? All right, here, folks, everybody who doesn't know, Tom Caltabiano here, tasting out of the canister. I don't know what's in there. The canister, courtesy of Rhonda from Props. Here's the canister. I usually try and take out and give a cookie a rating. I have to, we're compiling all the information. We have a little graphic that goes. We have the numbers that go. Okay. What is this? This is, oh, okay. So this is a rare, so I've been doing a lot of British, UK, whatever you want to call it, cookies, right? So this will be the first time, or one of the first times, that I'm actually doing an Italian cookie. So has anybody ever seen these? I've never seen these in my life. Okay. And I always think, my friend has a pastry shop. And so okay. So here, let me just show it to you again. Here's the back, everybody. Is it backwards for you? It's backwards for, oh, it's upside down and backwards. There we go. That's chocolate. That's a good sign. And it has not expired. Also a good sign. And in a different language. Okay, don't look at the fat. Okay, here we go. Tesoro chocolate. Wow. There's always, okay. Again, Tom's impression of somebody sitting behind him at the theater. Yeah. Wow. Okay, do I have a, oh yeah, I do. Same knife as last time. By the way, when I travel, I hate missing our lives, but I was traveling and I can't, I don't know if it'd be distracting to try and do it. I can't do it from a plane, obviously, because it would be really noisy, but I could do it from different locations. Oh, wow, this smells incredibly good. I just opened it this much, and I got hit in the face with a wave of chocolate delightfulness. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm really not trying. It's amazing that I wish our houses could be made to be this hard to break into. Okay, here we go. All right. Wow. Never. Has anybody seen these? Has anybody seen these ever? Okay. This is the problem. I do get a lot of crumbs on me. Okay, so I can't really tip this to show it too much here. They're going to slide. All right, that's one. Oh, so it's going to be filled with chocolate. Okay, there you go, folks. There is that, but there's no visible chocolate. So how do I do this in a neat way? See, my inclination is to bite into it and so I don't get crumbs everywhere, but I'm not going to do that. So, That's what we're looking at, folks. Rough hands from doing physical labor, hard physical labor, and the inside of a chocolate cookie. Okay. Flaky pastry on the outside. Really good chocolate on the inside and not too sweet, which is good. Okay. Not too sweet is good. All right. Linda, I don't want to be responsible for you ordering too much stuff. Here's what I'll say. It's not too sweet. And I've found, when you eat I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but when you eat an Oreo cookie, your teeth hurt and there's, you've taken some sugar and this is not that sweet. Okay, let me take another. Here, I'm apologizing for those of you that hate watching people chew. Oh, well, here we go. So, I'm going to give these a 7.1. Super tasty, not too sweet. And again, you can't penalize these guys for not being too sweet. That's why it's tough. It's just my palate. But these are really, I know it's hard to describe it this way, but not heavy at all. Those are very good. They're very tasty, and they don't taste too sweet. Delightful, flaky pastry feeling on the outside. What's running through my head is I'm trying to think of what is comparable that gets you. Let me tell you something. When you're trying to sell a sitcom, you don't want to do this, but you do. Meaning you don't want to feel cliche, but when you say it's Friends meets My Favorite Martian, okay, or whatever it is, you have to say that for the people that are trying to frame it, because we have limited mental capacity. It helps us. So with that cookie, I'm like, okay, I can't quite think of what that is even. I've never tasted anything. Somebody will be able to help me, but it feels more like a pastry, a flaky pastry with chocolate that's not too sweet on the inside. So I don't know that I can verbalize it. If one has a world market in their area, they can be purchased there. Okay, that is very helpful, Maureen. And of course, Amazon. We were at Italy in Boston last week. I saw those. Oh, Jane. But didn't try them because you haven't done them. Yes, nice. For those that don't know, Italy, Eataly, I believe started in Italy, and then there's a place in Manhattan, there's a place in Los Angeles, and now Boston, I know. And there's also, I was in one in Dubai. There's a giant one in Dubai. Why was I in Dubai at an Italy? I don't remember. Why would I be there? But it's anything you can imagine from Italian Spanish. It is heaven. It is delightful. It is awesome. Okay. So 7.1, I said, Tesoro. And again, I've never seen these. I've never seen these anywhere. And when I go to Italy, I don't think I've ever looked for their now. Next time I go, I will look for them. I don't think I ever looked for them. All right. That was really good. All right. What else? Kevin James. We talked about Kevin James. Oh, I wanted to, somewhere I'm going to post. I looked up something and AI kicked in, and the description of the Everest Raymond episode was 100% wrong. It was fascinating. And I took a screen grab, but I have to find it and I'll share that with you. So when you look up AI stuff, I'm not saying that because I'm opposed to AI. I'm kind of neutral about it, but all right. So we tasted the cookies. We talked about Kevin James. Let me look at final thing. Chicago, Susan Stampanato. Chicago has an Italy. That's awesome. You definitely. Yes, Ellen, 7.1. There's going to be so many cookies I'm going to have to taste before we get canceled by somebody on the internet saying something terrible, that Everest Raymond was a terrible, terrible show, and we didn't have enough pizza on the show. Italian for dunk in milk, Scott. Very nice. Let me put that up. Let me bring that up. Yes, there we go. Okay, I'm looking, I've never seen them. They look like mini chocolate croissants. Yes, it's more in the croissant family, but not quite. Not quite. They will. Okay, Karen, let's see. Karen in Plymouth, it's very late for you there. Will there be an official opening of the ERLR display at the Paley Center? Will visitors be able to interact with the display, i.e. sit on the couch or sit at the table, like with the Friends exhibition? Karen, are you threatening to come to New York? The answer is yes. So if we get the lucky suit there, you won't be able to try on the lucky suit, or Robert's mustard colored suit. Probably won't be able to try it on. However, there will be, you can sit on Ray and Deborah's couch, or whatever it ends up being, Frank and Marie's table. There will be a place to take pictures and sit there. Paley Center is incredibly professional, and they make incredible museum events. I was there for Will and Grace. Okay, hold on. I have to take another tea break. Let's see. Holy crap. Is this, hold on. Oh, just holy crap. Right. Is this about me? Okay. So much more to discuss, but we're out of time this week. Am I in town next week? Yes. And again, everybody, I try and give you a heads up, if that helps, that I'm not going to be there that week. A lot of times when I'm traveling and it doesn't line up, I'm like, I'll make it. And then I can't make it. But again, I so appreciate all of your comments. I so appreciate questions. I appreciate when people answer questions that they know the answer for, and I don't see it, and someone jumps in and says, "Oh, Tom said this." I love that. We talked about the sites that take my photos and cut out my copyright. Please, you don't have to yell at them or say anything to them. Our people usually point out like, "Hey, that's a good Tom Caldabiano photo," just so people who are on the site are like, "Wow, that's a cool photo. I'd like to see more," rather than admonishing that Facebook page, because there is room for everybody, and there's some great Everest Raymond Facebook pages. I don't want to be like they are all, etc. All right, let me see. Final question. Will your photos be displayed at the Paley Center? Yes, my guess is 100% there will. And then the reunion is, that's all dependent on the land of TV, the land of the TV people about making TV. So, and I'll let you know if there's ever a chance for any of the things I'm talking about to be in the audience. The TV show, I'm sure will have a live audience, but that's going to be a limited number of tickets. But I will definitely keep you posted. If there's anything that the general public can go to, I will definitely make you guys aware. And for those of you that have been listening since the beginning, I really do appreciate it. All right. Have a great week, everybody. We will see you next week, and keep your comments coming. Look for a lot more clips from the video archives, which I'm slowly digitizing. All right. See you all next week.